Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let the roll call show that all board members are present. Eric Minks is attending via Zoom. And our first item of business is student showcase.
Well, that was really fast.
Right off the bat, right off the bat.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm just gonna share my screen here real quick. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jody Johnson. I am the district preschool through high school technology integration or instructional technology coordinator. We've changed the name a couple of times. So, but I get to work with all the teachers and students on using technology. And we knew that there was some interest in how we're using coding in our schools. So I wanted to bring to you what we're doing and maybe some hopes for our future. But I just wanted to share this stat with you. 90% of parents, this was a big survey done by code.org, want their students to study computer science. 35% of high schools provide computer science education. So we know that there is a big gap in opportunity that's happening. In the state of Minnesota, well, actually, before I get to that, computing jobs are the #1 source of new wages in the United States. So especially when we look at career academies and we look at what we need to provide our students for, this is a great opportunity for our students going into computing and really in any field. Any field, they're gonna have access and need access to computing. In Minnesota, there are 5,546 open computing jobs, so options for our students. We graduate in the whole state, 1,608 computer science graduates, and about 28% of high schools teach AP computer science. In Princeton, we actually have unplugged activity mats in the preschool where they can learn how coding is really just a matter of, say, turn left, turn right. And they're just mats that they can walk on and practice coding. We got those for them a couple of years ago. At our primary school, we have the Bebot robots, and there's an app that goes with that as well. And then they progress to what's called a Probot, where they actually get to do a little more with geometry and coding there. At intermediate school, we have code.org, Scratch, Dash and Dot robots, and then Google CS First. And you'll see that that's a link here. I'm going to send you this presentation. Brenda Baird, who is our tech teacher at the intermediate school, actually recorded a quick video for you of all the coding and how it progresses at the intermediate school. At middle school, I mean, all of our teachers are amazing, but Jen at the middle school, like, she's top notch. She is so good. She is our new 6th grade STEAM teacher. And her whole focus on everything she teaches in class goes back to career connections. So she does a whole thing on computer science. She does a whole thing on coding, but she really focuses on what is the career path and like even what is the academy leading out of that. So you'll see I have a link here too. She sent me her whole slideshow of her coding unit to share with you. And then at the high school, we have room for opportunities, in my opinion. That's just me taking a moment to share my opinion. We do offer AP Computer Science. The course has not run those since 2020. When they do run that course, it does offer Java and some pretty like high level coding. We have a game design course, and we actually have a student here today who's going to show you what they created, and they use coding there. And of course, our award-winning robotics team uses coding. They have a coder on their team that uses that. That starts all the way at elementary level. So I'm biased. I was one of the coaches for a while, so and I'm proud of them. But today,
just a clarifying question. I think it's important for the board to know that the reason why sometimes the courses don't run is if we don't have students sign up for them. So I think that should be a question that we should be thinking about is how can we garner more interest in our students to sign up for some of these courses? Because we do offer courses when students show interest in wanting to have them. So we'll have to talk about what are some ways that we can encourage students to consider that as an option.
Yeah, Jessica and I had a conversation just right before this about sharing this information with Heather Sorensen and maybe making sure that we are looking at our career academies and noting where we have opportunity for coding and computer science and see if there's options to add more. So we have some students here to show you how they're doing coding. So we have Henry from first grade at Princeton Primary. He's gonna show you how the Bebop works. So I'm gonna have Henry come on up. Mrs. Anderson is here with him. If you don't know, Tanya does technology at primary and intermediate. She does technology at primary 3 days a week and has all the kids. She sees them about 14 to 17 times a year. So she, and actually I just found out that our, well, she's getting set up. Our middle school teachers have it's called a Blue Bot, which is similar to this, that the kids write their own code and then they use the bot to see if it actually works.
All right, so Henry is a first grader. You want to say hi to everyone? Henry started off, we started off with the Bebot app, and so the students see the same machine just on an app, and so they can practice pushing the code buttons to make the Bebot go through a maze on the iPad. And after they practice that about 2 lessons, then I get out the real Bebots and they can follow task cards. This mat here has different pictures on it. Do you remember, Henry, what your goal was on this mat?
To get the most pictures.
All right, and how would you get the most pictures? By doing what?
Pressing the buttons and programming it to step on the pictures.
Fantastic. Do you want to give it a try?
I love that you use the word programming.
Hello.
That is fantastic. So that is Henry. Thank you so much, Henry, for sharing the Bebop with us. So that is their first introduction to coding. Brody, Henry's brother, is going to come up and actually show us how they do use code.org for coding. So I'm going to share, I should have the screen. Emily, can you share the screen? Did I share the screen? Okay, good.
I stopped your screen sharing so I could see the kiddo.
Oh, did I? Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right, Brody, come on up. So Brody's going to show us how he actually is going to take a code that's already been written and debug it to actually make it work. You want to have a seat there, buddy? You ready? All right. So this one, they already gave you the code, right? And you just need to correct it to make it work? No? There's nothing there. Oh, you just have to make it. So you're gonna solve the puzzle. Brody is also an epic Lego builder. I just happen to know that personally as well. Very creative writer. And what's the job? What are you trying to write it to do? Eat the acorn, okay. You're finished, all right, can you click run? Can you do it? Nicely done.
Right.
High five. So, and he kind of got thrown into the mix like late, right? Mrs. Baird grabbed you, I think, last week and said, hey, we're gonna have you code for the school board. Awesome. Well, next up, we have one of our high school students who's taking the game design course, correct?
Yeah, that was what I was trying, but yes. I did.
Okay, yep, took the game design course and it has their own game that they created.
Oh, cool.
So I'm gonna unshare my screen so he can share his.
Who taught the game design course?
Miss Cootie.
Ms. Cootie?
Yeah, I reached out to her because I knew, and she said also she has an engineering class that they do some coding in there too, so.
Oh, I have to start with me. No, it's 6:30, start from.
Is it sharing your screen?
Not yet. I have to boot up the thing in order for it to
Got
share. Got it. Serious. Is in control, keep
And sometimes our devices take a while to warm up.
And just to load all the images.
Yeah, exactly.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Are you taking any coding like this trimester?
Currently, I don't think I am, but
Okay.
I don't know. I have to remember.
Yeah.
And we have a couple new classes at the high school this year that we're excited about. One was like a computer repair class.
Yeah, I took that one as well.
Yeah, what was that one like?
We were basically troubleshooting computers, see like what problems they had and how to fix them. And it taught me a lot.
Nice.
Cause she got a hold of like a lot of old equipment, I think some even in the district that they were able to use for that, which was
Nice.
pretty amazing, yeah.
Okay. Should be sharing.
Okay.
Hopefully it is.
Okay.
This. It's just a mouse, yeah. There we go. Got it to work. A little laggy on the screen.
Yeah, that's okay.
This is Planetary. This is Planetary Defender. I came up with the concept of it out of whim. Basically, you're destroying asteroids in order to protect the planets before they get destroyed. So if I hit play, I'm gonna hit escape, so then I can just pause it immediately. So we can see the moon, you can go see an asteroid here, you can see asteroid counter, and you can see health. Your goal is just to click the asteroid. It's a lot better if I have a mouse.
I should have brought mine.
Yeah.
I have one in here.
Yeah, but you have to, the goal is to destroy 100 asteroids per level. And it gets faster every single time you destroy one.
What happens if you don't destroy it?
If I don't destroy it, here, I'll let
Earth
you.
is destroyed.
You see,
I
it
know,
took,
I'm just
it took
curious.
half of Earth's health. If I let it go again, it'll destroy.
Oh, okay.
And now I restarted.
Well, how did you do that? Like, how did you make all that happen on a screen?
I coded so that like there's instance variables I can make the Earth have for health, and I can make it so when the asteroid hits, it will damage the earth. And after a certain amount of health the earth is at, it'll destroy. Then after a while, it'll restart on its own.
Well, what do you gotta code just to get the earth there and get the earth spinning?
The earth just stays there, it doesn't move at all, and the spinning is just purely animations.
What program did you guys use to do this?
Construct 3.
Construct 3, okay.
Here, I can pull
And
the
it works
code.
on the Chromebook, which is, that was one thing
Let
that
me,
Cootie was having a hard time with, was
let me,
us able to find with the devices we have, right? Because we can't
let me pull up the code.
buy computers for.
So, no,
Oh, there we go.
here's the code to it. You can see I have a dashboard story counter. And we have all these which go just into the earth layout or the level. You can see it goes, next we would have Mars, Saturn, Jupiter, and as bonus Pluto. The Pluto is the hardest because if I go into event sheet, I have to find it
And you wrote this from scratch.
from scratch.
How long did it take you to do that?
It took me about a month, I think, or 2 weeks. I don't fully remember.
You know, second trimester has Christmas break, it's
Yeah,
got a lot.
like, listen, it took a while. It took a long time, it took a while.
And all of us are thinking that
So
was
here.
years.
Yeah, you can see this. This is like every 1 second, it'll spawn a new asteroid as well as particles to go with it. I just decided that because it was cool. And this is the one right here where it says asteroid count, destroy count is greater than or equal to 20. Less than or equal to 20. That's how I do this, because then I go to here, it's greater than or equal to 20, and it's slightly faster by 0.4 seconds. We keep going until it hits 0.1 seconds. Trust me, it's possible. I did it, I completed it. I had to do it for at least a minute.
You had to beat your own game?
Yes, slightly difficult.
That's awesome.
So I didn't hear at the beginning, what grade are you in?
11.
11th grade. And, you know, in high school, students have this opportunity to self-select what kinds of courses that they want to take based upon their interests and their goals in life and those kinds of things.
Yes.
What brought you to sign up for this class? And are you going down a certain pathway, career choice that you're considering that is in this line of work?
Well, why I selected this course is because I love to code in my free time outside of school. Like, I do it all the time with certain programs like this, but this one's a more paid one, so I never could with this one. So yeah, I just love to do it. I thought, hey, they're offering the class, it's the first time I've ever seen it. I'm gonna take a shot at it, and it turned out really good. And if I'm going down a career path, I'm looking for this as like a hobby. My career goal is leaning towards like more, how do you put it? More trades. That's what I'm going for, but I want to work on this as like a hobby. And who knows, maybe if the trades don't work, I can go to coding.
Or you can incorporate the two together.
Yeah.
Because I would imagine there's a lot of coding in trades. We have board member Eric Minks up there as a farmer, right? And I'm thinking to code all of your farm equipment. I mean, I think a lot of it is, right, done with robotics or they're moving that direction. Someone's got to code, where does that robot go? And
Yep.
We actually had a student at Princeton High School who was working on that for that reason, because he knew he was going to work on the family farm and started working on coding in that way. We kind of have the best of the best.
so you got any suggestions for us in terms of additional courses we should consider offering and how, there's one thing for us to offer a course and have a course available, but it's hard if we can't offer it if no one signs up for it. Like, are there some things that you would suggest in terms of additional course offerings? And then two, how can we encourage more students to participate?
I think in order to, since you're worried about people signing up, I think what you could do is like do tiers of it, so like you could do like basic game design, but then go to like more advanced. Like this one, it's sort of basic, sort of advanced, it was in the middle, it was first year of us doing it, so. All that. Cool. And what was the second part?
You answered both of my questions.
Oh, okay, just making sure.
Do you have any other questions, board members?
No, but that's amazing.
Oh, super cool. Well, let's get him around.
You can see we have, I mean, from the very beginning, we have kids working on coding, and so we just want to keep offering those opportunities. I lead the tech PLC with Tanya and Brenda and, I was gonna say Shannon Aaron's, it's not Shannon, it's Jen Schmidt. And we've talked a lot about this, wanting to increase opportunity for students, because we have that passion moving on. So thanks for having us.
Very good.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you, everyone.
Good job.
You're welcome to stay all night or you're welcome to leave as well. It's up to you all.
These showcases are always our favorite, so
Yeah,
thank you so
we've
much.
heard.
It's awesome to see what's happening out there. Thank you. All right, we move on to citizen comments. I'm assuming that sheet is no comments, okay? Then we'll go on to board member committee reports. And, how about we start with Chad?
Yeah, I had a community presentation that I went to last week, and that's it.
Okay. Melissa?
I did I was at the community ed board, what's the name of it,
Advisory
community,
council.
there we go, advisory council, sorry. The community task force, meeting with Chad, and then I was also at the Tiger Connections at the high school, which was also with, what is the other group? then?
Their careers.
The career, I
PLC or
can't remember
something.
what the name of it is.
Their CTE.
Tiger Career Academies joined with our
So it's the
CTE.
heads of those academies with, yeah, with the Tiger Connections. It's a good group.
All right, thank you. Don?
I had community ed advisory, agenda planning, I attended band blast, state archery tournament, we took top male for both side, top male and female for 3D. High school took third for 3D. And then I also attended the task force meeting at the middle school.
Eric Stramberg.
All I had was the finance committee.
Okay, Sue?
I attended the community meeting on finance at the middle school as well.
Okay. Eric Minks.
I had finance before this meeting.
All right, thank you. I also had agenda planning. I attended the community task force meeting and the Tiger Connections meeting and had a finance meeting before this. Also today, MSBA sends out emails, and this morning, the 8 o'clock one was just coffee and conversation. And if you ever get a chance to just hop on there, do so. Today, it was, they talked about bus driver shortages and then the profiles of a graduate. And that was pretty much the whole meeting, but they kind of leave it up to board members, put those topics out there, and then all the other board members kind of pipe in on it. And they're pretty interesting, actually. Yeah, and the legislative one is usually on Fridays, I think, at 8. Or is that one at 9?
It's at 9.
That one's at 9, but that one's actually recorded, so if you can't listen to it, then you can listen to the recording, and those are super informative because you're getting like up-to-date news as to what bills we should be watching and what's happening in different committees, and so those are super helpful. But other than that, I have nothing else. We have no student council members here tonight. Superintendent report.
Hi, it's good to see everybody. A few things I have on my list I want to make some comments on. Communications is a big part of what we do, right? And you all should have gotten a mailer in your mailbox. The board made a commitment to try and at least hit all mailboxes in the district for all homeowners 2 to 3 times a year. So we were able to get that out, and we're also following up with our community ed booklet. Should be hitting mailboxes in the next few weeks. More classes, offerings than ever before, and our participation is going up, and it's really exciting to see. So that's good work. I did send the board a rendering of some rough drawings on some middle school parking lot re-engineering to try and improve some of our traffic flow for drop off and pick up. If you have any suggestions there, please give that to me. It doesn't look like there's a lot of options, but if we're gonna be doing some resurfacing of parking lots and those kinds of things, we wanna make sure that we take advantage of making things safer and more user-friendly for all involved. You mentioned the legislation session. We haven't had a whole lot of new updates coming from there, but I just want to remind us that, you know, we've done a lot of work up until this point, and we can't take our foot off the gas. When we start to see some of those alerts coming through to contact our legislators, we need to do that. I anticipate many changes in terms of funding or additional funding coming out of this session. But there are some bills that might come through related to policy. And that's something that I know that our board has been firm on, that have no new mandates and allow you to govern locally. And that's something we need to continue to remind our folks to do. We have our new legislator that's representing us, Representative Lawrence. I'd ask each of you, if you haven't, make a contact with him. He's local, and I do believe that he may be assigned to be on an education committee, which I think is good for us. We had our comprehensive task force last week. I believe that was Wednesday. We had about 85 people RSVP. I think I only counted about 65 or so in the room, but that's still pretty good. And we'll continue to move on from there. I will have an email that will go out to that whole group that attended, and anyone who didn't attend, that has a summary of that information that will kind of bring them to a landing spot on a web page that we're creating, and kind of keep the momentum going so that we can start that task force up in the fall. Tomorrow is a big day in our district. We're going to be working to hire a new principal at the primary school. And we have 4 candidates coming in, and we're starting at 2 p.m. and we'll be working through the evening, and we hope that we'll get a good one. So lots of people involved with that. Similar as we've done in previous years. I think we have 30 to 35 stakeholders involved in that process. Some of you sitting in this room will be in those meetings. And I'll leave you with, you know, one thing that we're doing this Friday is just related to transportation. We're going to be meeting with all the drivers to have ongoing crisis prevention, mitigation, response kinds of things. As you know, we do lots of work in the district, going through drills for intruders in the building, whether it be relocation, those kinds of things, but we haven't done as much with our transportation, so we're including them, and we're excited to have that training on Friday. So with that, I'll close my remarks unless you have any questions.
Any questions for Ben? All right, we'll go on to approve our agenda. Is there a motion to approve our agenda as presented?
So,
Motion's been made by Melissa, seconded by Chad. Any comments or questions on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, agenda is approved. Discuss and act on previous board meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve the March 20th meeting minutes as presented? So moved. Motion's been made by Don. Is there a second? Second. Second by Sue. Any comments or questions on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, minutes are approved. Consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Motion's been made by Chad. Is there a second?
Second.
second by Eric Stramberg. Any comments or questions on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. We move on to our student services update.
Well, I'm not seeing anyone in the room to give us that update.
So I was wondering, Steve Milam's supposed to be here?
Emily, they're not online, are they, to give that update?
No, I haven't seen him and he might have forgotten.
Okay. Well, we will follow up with them on the student services update to the board.
I think the no news is good news.
Well, they do have the presentation
There
there
is
for
a
us.
Yeah,
presentation
there's some
there,
really
yeah.
cool things
There
happening.
is, yeah, there was a really
Lot of
cool-
action
Yeah.
on there, yeah. I was looking forward to
Mhm.
Right.
saying, way to go.
Yeah,
It's come a long ways.
yes. Next time, see if they can come next time. Then we'll move on to the first reading of policies. Anything, you wanna share with us, Dawn?
A couple of these policies, we've been working on since last fall. Especially
the first two?
yes, the
Because I
first two.
saw all the revisions, I'm like, holy cow.
And they've been back and forth to, the different parties that are all involved and going off a lot of NSBA, the textbooks.
Mhm.
We brought back some information from the summer MSBA conference on that as well. So
Good.
a lot of people have been looking at this.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a hot topic. Any questions about those policies? Otherwise, they'll be on our next agenda for a second reading and approval. All right, we'll move on to the budget analysis.
I think Michelle's gonna provide some commentary on the budget.
I saw that says, and commentary.
And commentary. We expect it, right?
But now we're just adding it officially.
I guess. The first sheet, is, our, initial analysis of the unassigned budget for 25. As you know, at this time, we are working on the many multiple line items of the actual budget, but we look at the big pieces here and we are looking at, we do that by looking at the 23-24 revised, which is showing us in a little bit better position than what we had originally anticipated at the beginning or the end of last year coming into the beginning of the year. A lot of that had to do with special education. We got some nice interest revenue coming in right now because of the raised rates at the Fed level. It affects the amount of interest that you bring in. So that has improved our situation here greatly, even though we did start the year down about 75 students from projection. So we're gonna move that forward into 25 and look at where our fund balances might land. For our fund balance, we always look at it as 100%, a 99 and a 98. And typically, we like to fall between that 98 and 99% category. And we have historically managed that. But it is possible to hit 100%. And it's possible to go over, but not like, hopefully not likely. Hopefully we have thought of every conservative, or if something is changing within the budget that we notice that before we get too far along in the process and can adjust for that change. We also already voted on our enrollment parameters, so we start looking at it with our revenue and we look at our enrollment parameter, which right now this is an estimate. We haven't ran this through the what if. I did a hand calc, but we're looking at about $600,000 less because of an projected enrollment loss. We also know we're gonna get at least 2% from the state based on the last legislative session, so, we put that number at about 480,000. And then special education, because of the growth in our, normal sped expenses and the 44% now that we get from cross subsidy, I'm anticipating that we will get more than 100,000. Typically, that line has always, we've just been conservative and budgeted 100,000. I bumped that up to 200 because we're now getting about 75% of the cost back for the teacher or para or the supplies that we're buying based on the formulas. And that formula will actually change and go to 50% for the cross subsidy in 25, 26, right? Then we look at our expenses, taking the first salary and benefits. This is a little bit higher than 6% because it settled a little bit more with the teachers, so that's 1.9. And then we've got another increase in here of 300,000, which basically right now is our, we're anticipating work comp and property and liability insurance to increase, and of course our transportation contract. And then the big thing that is probably hurting us the most is the Fund 19 COVID federal dollars will sunset at the end of the school year. We will have to have spent the majority of it. We have a little bit of tails that we'll have for summer school in July and August. We will be allowed to spend that out, but by September 30th, all the funds have to be obligated instead. So that gives us a look at what our estimated fund balances might be. In all of these situations, it shows that our fund balance would be projected to drop. Our variances at 100% is a negative 2.9, you know, just short of that 3 million. When we started the year talking about it was 3.5, we're still at the 3 million. The difference is we're anticipating that fund balance growth, which will help us offset next year's adjustments. And then looking at it at 99 and 98. And looking at it with an estimated fund balance piece of 4.4 million, which is 10% of our total budget. Now, what I did is I took that, and I have another sheet here, the second sheet, and looked at what our options are for adjustments. So basically just moving the 100%, 99, 98, and then I did a hybrid of the 98 and the 99 percent. And we're looking at a goal of a $4.4 million fund balance. So in these scenarios, you know, like I said, we typically end up between that 98, 99% area. And at this point, looking at where we are, as I told finance before this meeting, and this is the heavy quarter. The last quarter of the year is a lot of spending, but we are on track with all the other years of where we have been at. So I'm not anticipating that we will be way different, but we'll keep monitoring that just in case that changes. And of course, I have to look at it month by month, so it'll be the May 1st will be after this. Will be my next big time, but as long as those timeframes look like the percentages are running on track, I anticipate that we will be between that 98 and 99% like we have been. So we're looking at, if we did estimated at 100%, we would only be spending down about 470,000 of the fund balance, and our reductions would be 1.8 million. So that would be our worst case scenario for adjustments. If we go all the way to the far end where I'm looking at the middle of the 98, 99, we would be, I didn't do the fund balance, but you can see at 98%, we would be looking at a $1.2 million fund balance spend down, because our fund balance would be a little bit higher. Our budget adjustments at 98 would be 864, but in between the two would be 1.2 million or 125. So that's our total adjustments, but the reason I call it adjustments is because our adjustments are not all reductions. So we have reserves and assigned categories that we can target. And of course, there's rules to them. And the first one that I'll talk about is our software. So we made the decision in finance to move $200,000 back into our unassigned category because we were doing better this year, to take some relief off of our capital, so we don't spend our capital dollars down so fast, to keep that flat for the year. We will move $200,000 back into capital for software next year, to take the stress off the unassigned. We also have the compensatory category, which grew for this year because of the change in how they did they now, anybody that qualifies for like health insurance through Medicaid now automatically come through. They don't have to fill out a form. Well, that made a huge difference in the amount of our compensatory. Our current number shows that we are going to be slightly higher with compensatory revenue next year, and because of the law changes and the rule changes and the fact that we still have COVID-19 dollars, we're having a hard time targeting all that this year. Well, next year, we are going to have to target it all that revenue that is coming in. So we're gonna move unassigned dollars into that compensatory reserve. That brings us down to reductions of, if we were at the 98% category, we would say it would be about 250,000. We're not recommending that low, because we don't want to crash the next year. So we are recommending $650,000 between the 98, 99 category at this point. Ben, you want to add anything?
No, you did a good job. Very complex. I mean, the reality is we start talking about this in like December and January, right? But it's all in preparation for the board to adopt a budget that will be in middle of June. So our June board meeting is the actual board meeting that you will adopt this budget that we've been talking about for several months, right? To a point where you're probably just almost gonna get sick of us talking about it, but we just wanna make sure that you are fully aware of, all the dynamics associated with this. But, as you know, we budget conservatively, right? Which means that, when we're estimating, we're estimating our revenue low and our expenditures high. but we also then have, what does it mean if we spend 100% of our budget, 99%, 98% of our budget, right? So that's where some of these discussions come in terms of what is the most realistic approach here. And, you know, everything that Michelle kind of went through with you is what we're suggesting, based upon what we are considering to be a fairly, good current year financially, right? With us underspending our budget, that we will be in a position to have some confidence that we can budget for next year at that 98.5% expenditures, which brings that dollar amount in terms of what we need to reduce down, okay? We anticipate that after next year's budget, it's gonna be far more difficult for us to do that. And we're going, but every single year, the variables that we're dealing with kind of changes, but we're trying to look and forecast out 2, 3, 4 years down the line. And of course, we don't know what's gonna happen with student enrollment. We don't know what's gonna happen with the legislative law changes and those kinds of things. But what we're going to be doing here, that we've started already, but we'll be working aggressively on in the next month, is to get us to a place where in the first May board meeting, we would bring the board what we call unrequested leave of absence. We're, as you know, we're 80% of our expenditures are human resources. And we do need to make resources or reductions in some of our staffing proportionate with some of our student enrollment, right? And where we're at with our budget. So between now and then, we'll be working on that. We're still waiting on high school registration, which is a big variable for us in making decisions. We do staff at the high school based upon the number of what classes that the students self-select to be into. The board needs to be aware that some of our recommendations in terms of budget reductions will bring us to be slightly over some of our class size guidelines in 1 or 2 of our grade levels. That isn't totally unusual because we've done that in the past as well, but you know, that's something that we're gonna have to just be aware of. And we're also going to be taking a look at where we're going to come in with student enrollment numbers for some of our Spanish immersion programming. We're gonna get lots of information related to that at our kindergarten safari, which is gonna be this Thursday. We'll get a better handle on where we're gonna be at with kindergarten enrollment, which is always the biggest unknown out of every single thing that we do. So once we do that kindergarten safari, used to be called back in the good old days, like kindergarten roundup, or I don't know, you know, but that's when, but we do such, I think, a better job of that now, where we can pretty much say with a decent level of confidence how many students we think that we're gonna, you know, have enrolled in kindergarten. Then what we'll do is we'll have all of our staff call families that didn't come to kindergarten safari, just to pin down what we're looking at for enrollment. And then based upon what those numbers are, that gives us some, we'll probably have to do some maneuvering based upon what that looks like. You know, historically, what we've done is we've just taken a look at census, what we think we have for birth rates in our district area, and we know that we typically get between 70 and 75% of census enrolling in our kindergarten. It's more like 72%. So that's the number that the board actually provided us in a parameter. Now we're gonna see how close we were, right? Once we do kindergarten safari. So it's one of those things, we do lots and lots of planning and work, and then it's gonna come down to probably about 2 or 3 weeks when we get all this information, and then we're gonna have to make some important decisions. And the biggest thing is, you know, we can reduce supply budgets at any time, right? In June, or how much paper we're gonna buy, or how much printing we're gonna do. But the piece that we don't have time to make decisions on is the people side. We just want to, although there's nothing contractually in terms of deadlines, we always want to be as good as we can to our people if we do determine that we'll have lesser positions and we would have to put someone on unrequested leave of absence. So between now, first week in April, and first week in May, there'll be lots of this work happening.
Any questions for Michelle or Ben on the budget? Nope. All right. We will move on to our action item, school board financial directive. You want to say anything about this?
Yeah, well, I would just say that this is something that no board member ever feels good about, but it's something that's standard operating for our board and every other board in the state, probably the country, where the board provides the administration authority for us to, bring forward recommendations for some reductions. So this is a formality.
That we do every year.
I'll move to accept the school board financial directive, resolution as presented.
Second.
All right, motion's been made by Eric Stramberg, seconded by Melissa. Is there any comments or questions on this? Being a roll call, we'll vote, we'll have a roll call vote, being that it's a resolution, I should say. And we'll start with Chad.
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Deb, yes. Don?
Yes.
Eric
Yes.
Stramberg? Yes. Sue? Eric Minks?
Yes.
All right, resolution passes. We have no additions to the agenda. There are some future meetings listed here. Make sure you get those on your calendar, and is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion made by Don, is there a second? Second was Chad. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
Well. I'm probably